Alright guys, so we're here on Arabia. So Carnage asked me before the series if he'd do any map except Arabia, if we could skip Arabia. So we've done competitive random for game number 3 in this series. And naturally, what map have we got? Arabia. So let me just fix that in the display. So, we are here with Tempires on Greeks, and he's a pretty formidable Greek spire. In the pink trunks, the bottom side of the map, while Carnage in orange as Persia over in the top side of the map is going for the hunt. Players both doing a bit of hunting. You can actually go fishing on this map sometimes. Very rarely one of these ponds will have 2 schools of fish. Very, very rarely. Yeah, players, in this decider, I hope this doesn't go on too long. We see something outlandish like what Carnage is about to do here with some low ground military production. So Tempires, a little bit more wood as well. But I think he's actually mostly focused on just aging up at this point. Well, Persia is a formidable civ with shoving early on with lots of Spara because of their crazy ranged health pool. Carnage be looking to try and push with these guys as early as he can. Tempires just now going to be aware, but he does have a reasonable amount of wood to try and defend. So, barracks here for Tempires, committing 3 villages to that. Wants to get it up quickly. Man, this is a terrible time to really need to sneeze. And I really need to sneeze. So, Carnage pushing in. Wants to get a bit of damage done here. Tempires, the barracks, just finishing up now. He hasn't yet started the spear production. He's going to try and fight the Sparrow with the villagers. Try and now clump and gather defensively. So quite smart micro now. But he's going to need to evacuate with Lobies. Tempires. A bit of face Carnage. Doing a bit of bobbing and weaving himself. The third Sparrow left out of the fight there, so this could really benefit Tempires here. Carnage having to back off now. He's trying to work his way over to the low villager. Tempires going to retreat once again. Going to be able to take out one of these Spara here. Tempires having done very well to keep everything alive here. He has a lot of villagers on the food at the moment though. He's still struggling to gather with all of them because he is bringing them in to try and fight as well. So it is cutting into his gathering here. He's maybe going a little bit too heavy on that. So Carnage, quicker Spara production here, and now he's actually able to pick off individual villages and spears. So 19 vills to 15 here. Tempire is struggling on vills. He just needs to cancel some spears and get the vills in production again. Because doing this and overkilling the spears is really hurting him at the moment. Not everyone's actually gathering. He could actually use some of these guys in the fight once again. But now the spear count actually starting to favour Tempires. But again, he's overqueuing in here. He can cancel 2 of these, get a villager in queue, and then worry about getting more stuff later. So the fight that's going on though is benefiting Tempires. Carnage wants to be careful that he doesn't actually lure his opponent home and destroy the setup he's got here. This is pretty undefended and quite high value for him. He's got a big food source there with both the hippos. He's got the barracks there. And right now he's actually going to be fighting a bit of a disadvantage here because he's lost a couple of those Spara. He's gone for the age 2, sorry, a bit earlier than his opponent. But he's going to have to play this smart, because Tempires will be able to pick off the scout or force him back. Aid tent, though, is going to really help Carnage defend this, so it's good of him to add that in. Spara really only outnumbered by 1 at the moment. And Carnage already set up to get his second town center. Tempires, in the meanwhile, just really going to start gathering to work towards that now. 18 vills to 22, so the overkilling of the spears now starting to really show, because Carnage didn't really pull out too far ahead in terms of kills, but just with overkilling 2 or 3 spearmen and then not having the food to train villagers, Tempires has sort of had a bit of damage dealt through that. Right now, things slightly favouring Tempires in terms of the unit count, but Carnage, if he does fight under the aid tent, under the storehouse, he will actually come out ahead, especially because the spears are, the Spara are going to just produce right there. Carnage already with some gold gatherers in the second town center. Going to finish up. Tempires now going to be able to deal some damage here. So he's going to pick off 1 or 2 of these villagers quite quickly, and maybe even get the others. Carnage going to be a bit slow to deal any damage with this little force here. Well, Tempires is going to be able to take out the barracks for free, but at the same time, I think Carnage will be happy with how much damage he's dealt so far. The low ground barracks, it will have pretty much paid for itself, I think. 22 vills to 29, the second town center established. He's got picker's gloves and handsaw on the way. Eco-techs for Tempires, we have none so far, while Carnage has those 2, and he's going to be able to deny Tempires the ability to get a split town center. Tempires is going to have to get it here to probably defend his own gold mine. He's got no gold at the moment either, so military production for him has come to a standstill for the moment. So Tempires gonna go for the push here, but not gonna be able to get too much out of this. Carnage, in the meanwhile, also forcing Tempires off the wood, but Tempires, if he can manage to get this town center up quickly, and if Carnage doesn't realize, he should be quite safe here. This map rigged. It's not my favorite map either, man. But sometimes it's refreshing to play. Sometimes. And that's a nice pick off there for Tempires. Like, Carnage's Asabara are worth twice as much as these spears, so if you can kill a couple of them with the spears, you're laughing, mate. Frees up your ability to start adding your own bowmen. With Carnage, he's going to pick off a couple of structures here. Not the greatest of fights here. These hypers, they do counter the Sparas, but now Carnage is going to transition to his bowman and Asabara based composition. Tempires having to add some hypaspis just to clean up the Spara, but then he's going to have to start producing spearmen and getting his own ranged, or getting his own cavalry units, because he wants to be able to deal with the bowmen. Smart of Carnage to camp over here, but for them now, I think Tempires is okay. Got plenty of food here. He is gathering it out on the map as well. Quite smart of him to do this early on and over here, I think, because Carnage isn't really interested in pushing. He's just trying to boom up, maybe do a bit of raiding. So if he's got spears here with the vills, he should be okay to clean this up before he has to worry about shifting along the shelf. Both players have this nice spot to wall off and go to late game in. Carnage playing quite conservatively, doesn't want to overinvest. He's managed to deal a bit of damage early, and in his shoes, I think a lot of people would probably have just doubled down on military production and rushed once you dealt that much damage early on, but he's decided to just sort of sit back, play the macro and poke at your enemy game that this and other large maps are known for. So the villager is going to go down, so I think Carnage will be happy with losing those guys, because now he can free up the population space to just make Bowman Asabara, and on top of that, he did get another villager. He's already up in terms of vill count, so Tempires 32 vills to Carnage's 54, so a lead like that right now is going to really start to show, because as long as you don't start losing anything, you should really start snowballing in terms of your military size, even if it was slightly small to begin with, because you're playing greedier in some cases. Tempires, good amount of production here. He's got the stables, got a second barracks on the way now. So Carnage now going up to 4 production buildings, and bearing in mind, he did lose that early barracks. This raid by Carnage is going to really hurt Tempires, who's struggling for food now. He doesn't have any food gathering. It's going to be a little bit slow to get on these berries. You probably even have these gold gatherers already shifted to food and worry about more gold later. Because right now, oh, and he's population capped too, so he's going to need to get houses so he can actually keep on supporting, you know, more production here. In this instance, it's looking really rough for Tempires. But he is stealing food here from Carnage. Taking it straight out of his mouth. Carnage going for the berries, and ooh, it's not great for Tempires because Carnage has actually spotted that. But I was thinking under any other circumstance that'd be good for him. But these villages are going to be a pain to evacuate now that the army is camping back here. Yeah, Carnage is circling back and he's going to pick off a villager or two. So Tempires, this is really going to hurt. 32 vills to 64 now. Carnage going for age 3. Tempires just now getting food techs. There's a lot of berries up here he could make use of, but he's also going to have to try and defend this area. It's going to be hard. He's just going to try and use a watch post rather than necessarily walling off or having his town center there. Because he's away off age 3 as well. He's going to need to try and get this and get to age 3. And get a town center over here and then wall himself in if he really wants to be secure. Carnage, playing a bit greedier with the second town center, was sort of able to afford to do so with how the early game had panned out. Carnage with a massive army at the moment. It's going to be hard for Tempires to stop. He does have a good number of spears, but Carnage is just going to be able to transition to Immortals now that he's age 3. Tempires in the meanwhile. Yeah, well, I mean, the spear count's going to be good against the Asabara. The problem is there's just not enough, say, Saris to actually kill all the bowmen. Like, in a way, I think Carnage is possibly over-invested in the ranged stables, and maybe could even do with a barracks in the mix here. There's not a huge amount of anti-infantry here. There will eventually be more and more Sari. At the same time, Tempires cutting military production while he's aging up here. Oh no, he's getting more spears. He doesn't need to get too many more. He's eventually going to have to start getting more Saris because he's got plenty of spears. It'll make Tempires angry because he's going to want to expand his economy up that way and get a third town center over there eventually. Carnage snaking his town centers up the map here. 37 to 78. So the eco for Tempires is really not going all that well. Bowman Champion being researched here by Carnage. Because he's losing all these Asabara. while Tempires is continuing to add more spears and hoplites, in a way, just massing his own bowman here is probably not a bad idea. Though, I'm surprised he's not starting to add immortals now as well, because they're just great against everything in Age 3. Except for maybe Lancers. And Carnage just protecting his gold mine. Getting broadhead arrows now, so he's got temper as well. Doesn't have any armor upgrades, but he does have 2 and soon to be 3 damage upgrades. A bit more rating, he's going to be able to take out the watch post once again. Just put Tempires on edge. Already having split up his army a little bit there just to make sure he can defend that flank. I'm just going to try and go straight for resources here. But he is being watched here and he doesn't realise. So he's going to be able to clean up. Templar's going to be able to clean up some of these Asabara. Just as Carnage is trying to go for an engagement here. So this is nice for Tempires because this is actually, population and resources wise, a much bigger investment by Carnage. Being taken out of the fight. But at the same time, Carnage has built himself up a great lead. And he can just sort of kite Tempires to death here and make this a very awkward fight to turn around unless Tempires can just suddenly muster up 1 billion cavalry. And I don't think he can afford to do so because he can only afford about 1 cavalry unit at the moment, unfortunately. Carnage getting a massive resource bank now. And I think he will be looking to try and transition to Immortals eventually. He's adding more stables still. He's going to get Shield Rim. It's going to help him push. As well as, you know, deal with Bowman. Because the town centers as well will be less of a threat. And this is tough for Tempires. He's not going to be able to find anywhere to move out to here. He is adding Prodromos. Getting Peltus as well. But I don't like using Peltus in this situation when your opponent already has a great cavalry that's also anti-range counter to them. You might as well just say get Saris if you can, just because they are going to fare better against the Asabara. They are going to do just as much against Bowman or the Javelin Thrower. What are they called? I've forgotten. Takabara. They are going to fare just as well against Takabara or Bowman, assuming you can get close enough to actually attack. I forgot Takabara's name for a sec there. I feel bad for that. Persian mains, don't hate me. It's been a little while since I've actually done a lot of PvP. A few villages are going to go down here, but also going to help try and repel Carnage. So Tempires is hanging on by the seat of his pants at the moment, but he has managed to get to 3 town centers here. He is still managing to gather out in the map in different places. But it's really looking tough for gold. He's got no gold income at the moment. So the entire army, or what's left of it, is going to try and defend this gold mine. Carnage doesn't actually realize Tempires is out of gold and not gathering from anywhere. And trying to move up to here. He is assuming that he is going to be short on gold though. So he will be trying to raid here. He'll be trying to check this gold mine. And he will actually find all these villages eventually. Yeah, he will. So a little bit unlucky there for Tempires. A bit lucky for Carnage. That he was in line of sight of the Asabara there. Because Carnage is trying to clear the gold mine for his own use. He didn't really care about the hunt then. Carnage, age 4, Tempires, still well away off being in age 4 himself. But he has got a market on the way. The GG. He's going to tap out now. I think he realizes that Carnage is just too far ahead. The next fight would just end it all. So well played, guys. Bit anticlimactic, and I apologise, but yeah, I think the lead had started to grow a bit too insurmountable.